So this car has 120,000 kilometers on the clock, and as you can see, this is the controller. It's completely shot. What we need today to do this as DIY job, I know it's not easy, but that might save you like $400. Hello and welcome to Ben's Addiction. So my roadworthy inspection failed by my mechanic due to some control arm issue. So what am I going to do? I'm going to replace 4 control arms. This is a W209, but it also applies to W203. If you buy these parts yourself, make sure you buy high quality parts. And if you want to install them yourself, I can walk you through mentioning the most important issues. So what you need to do, you need to secure your car and lift it with 2 jack stands, reliable ones. So obviously you need a good jack as well. And then you need control arm, you need number 21 spanner. If you have some sort of a ratchet spanner, electric one, that would work very well and make your job easier. You will also need some other extension, breaker bars, ratchets, and impact sockets to make this job easier for you. You will also need E18 and E12 sockets. The most important tool we're going to use today is a ball joint remover, as you can see. And finally, we need to use a torque ratchet. So let's get started. I throw all the part numbers and specs as needed. We need to lift the car using jack and use the jack stand securely. Safety is first. And then we're going ahead and remove the front splash tray as well as rear splash tray. 8mm at the front and 4 8mm at the back. Then we need to remove the wheels so we can have a better access to the suspension parts. If you can spray some WD-40 to the bolts and nuts you're going to take a day earlier or a few hours earlier, that might help you even more. So first we need to take 4 bolts, 2 from the ball joints and 2 from the bushing side of it. And most of these will be happening using only a 21mm spanner. So now with the 4 nuts removed, it's now time to use our ball joint remover tool, put it in and then remove the ball joints from their place. So this took only an hour to complete, but if you need to buy one of these from eBay, I have to shave off a bit of metal, so I make it a bit narrower so I can put in between the space between the control arm and the hub. So if you're buying from eBay, you might need to do the same using a grinder. But it really worked well after that. So what we have done so far, everything is out except that bolt over there. I need to drop down the 4 bolts for sway bar so I can pull that bolt out. I have put this screwdriver here temporarily, not putting any pressure on control arms. I've got the jack underneath over here. So let's go ahead and drop the sway bar so we can remove that final bolt. Bolt is out. Now we can remove that ball joint from there if we move our hub a bit. So if you have a car, depending on the situation, the road, the potholes, and the age of the car, this might be the situation with it as well, if your control arms are original. With the hub supported by the jack and this screwdriver supporting the pin, I removed the screwdriver, I removed the control arm because obviously this strut was in its way. I pulled out the old control arm and immediately put the new one in, and it's now supported with the bolt halfway in, so I need to push that bolt all the way in, and there's one nut done. So I'm going to put the second control arm in. After 2 hours of working on this side, it's done. So 1 hour for taking off and 1 hour for putting back. Very important point to mention here, and it's the fact that you should not tighten these bolts. You should not torque them, and you should actually leave them loose. This one and the other one as well, until you position the car in the correct position where it sits with the pressure on the struts and in the correct seating position. And then you can tighten that, because otherwise if you tighten right now, this bushing will remain in this position, and when you put back the car on the ground, it will prematurely ruin that bushing. But for the lower ball joints, you can of course go ahead and tighten them right now. Here I'm including all the torque specs from WIS Mercedes over here for your ease, but next I'm going to torque them down myself. So this one is going to be 120 Newton meter plus 90 degrees. And for 90, you can mark it on the bolt itself. So this one is 80 plus 60 degrees. So you need to mark it on the nut as well and go another 60 degrees. For the top one, if your torque ratchet does not fit here, which I believe you won't be able to fit it, you need to go ahead and tighten according to the lower one with some sort of spanner. E12 type bolts are 40 Newton meters. So now it's time to torque these to 150 Newton meter for the stage 1. Okay guys, this project is done and dusted. It took me 4 hours. The biggest challenge involved in doing this job as DIY is not having a hoist or not being to lift the car properly, and torquing and unbolting some of these parts might be challenging, especially when some of these bolts needs to get torqued to 150 Newton meter plus 60 degrees. So that makes the job even more challenging. At the end, if you do not have access to some safety tools and some power tools, I suggest you to outsource this job to your mechanic and not do this at all. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching, liking, subscribing. Please feel free to drop a comment and leave your feedback down below. Have a good day. Bye.
Let's go.